Amy's Wi-Fi was awful during this episode. Sorry, please be wary when listening to the pod. We are trying to fix the problem for the coming weeks. Things will get better, we promise.
Hello and welcome back to the Women's Workshop podcast. I'm Ella, the founder of the Women's Workshop, and this is my co-host Immi.
Hi, I'm Immi Midi and I am here.
So a few housekeeping bits. Our ugly art competition has officially ended, and I'm very sorry for the last podcast because we talked about the ugly art competition a lot without realizing it would be released after the end date.
No,
so,
I realised it, tried to tell you and you ignored me.
I did not realize that. So anyway, our ugly art competition winner was collage _ sentient fragments on Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and she did the most amazing, how do you even describe it? Photo sculpture. She used a mask and some plastic forks and she made this little fish. And it was just incredible.
It was so good, and it was like really, it was ugly, but it was ugly in two ways. Like it was physical, like it wasn't the prettiest piece of artwork, which we love, obviously. And it was also like Garbage Island. Masks aren't biodegradable, they're killing our planet, but they're good for us, so please keep wearing masks. I'm not an anti-masker.
So it was amazing, but it was really hard to decide because all the entries were fantastic. So thank you to everyone who entered, and you were all amazing. Honestly, it was one of the hardest decisions. But congrats to collage _ sentient fragments. I don't believe I actually know your name, so maybe we'll have a chat and find out soon. Anyway, and hopefully we'll be releasing another competition in the near future. We just have to come up with another cool topic, and then you are all free to enter. Also, we're going to be having a networking event tomorrow, which is irrelevant to you because by the time this is released, that date will have passed.
Well, we're trying to have them bi-weekly, right? So...
Bi-weekly, yeah. So if you didn't get to come to this week's, which will be tomorrow, but not for you, then we'll be holding one next week.
Yes.
I believe, yes. Anyway,
the
basically
21st, I believe, will be the
yeah.
date. The
So we hold them bi-weekly. If you can't make it, it's not a big deal, but we do have a great time, good chats, good fun, sharing deep dark secrets, drinking if you want to drink, drinking tea if you want to drink tea. It is completely up to you. Apart from that, we had an amazing interview with Jackie at Soy Mistake on Instagram, and she was just such a wise, lovely person.
Yeah, we love Jackie. Honestly, I love her to bits, and she's just one of the most fantastic people ever.
And we'll be seeing her again in our upcoming networking events. So we look forward to seeing you again, Jackie. Anyway, so our website is officially up and running, thanks to the hard work of Immi, who's helped me complete it because it has taken quite a while. So, I mean, well done to both of us for setting it up, and we really hope you enjoy it. If you want to be featured on the website, please do get in touch with us. Literally all that we ask is that you engage with our page and you support all of the amazing artists who support us.
Yeah, and even if you can't afford to support them financially, a like on Instagram, a follow on Instagram, a save of one of their pieces of work, or even just literally sharing it on the story or what have you. We will take any sort of engagement that you want to give to us and the artists.
Oh, and speaking of engagement, we are almost at 1,000 followers. I believe we're 3 people away at the moment from 1,000, so hopefully by the time you hear this, we'll already be there. So just a big thank you to everyone who has supported this page.
Yeah, and it's so exciting.
Yeah, so thank you to all of you who have supported us, and we look forward to supporting you further. Without further ado, we're going to be interviewing Bipolar Abdul tonight. So Immi, do you want to tell us a little bit about Bipolar before she hops on?
Yeah, Bipolar Abdul is a drag queen from Doncaster who is the absolute love of my life. I love her to bits. We've known each other for ages, actually. And she's just incredible. She is fantastic, and she is making sure that the world knows that women can do drag.
Right, so without waiting any further, let's dive in.
Woo!
Hi, Bipolar. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I've been looking forward to this, since we booked it in.
Oh, you look absolutely amazing. If you're watching us on YouTube, just that outfit.
Oh, I've been looking forward to this so much.
I know it'll be nice for us to just be able to chat. Like, I'm so used to you just being text on a screen, so this is going to be so nice.
Yeah, I know. I think this is like the third time since we've known each other that I've actually heard your voice.
Yeah, I think I'm always like way more northern than people expect.
Yeah, I've just gotten used to Zoom now. Like, I feel like I know everyone as floating heads rather than actual people. Firstly, how are you doing? How's lockdown been for you? What's been going on?
Lockdown as a whole, the 12 years or what it feels like that we've been trapped inside. It's been like very, very up and down for me. Sometimes like through a day, I can, go on an emotional roller coaster through everything. It's had some really good points and some really low points. I mean, I've been managing to like I've learned to edit videos and things like that. That's something that I never thought I'd be able to do. And, I've pushed my drag and my art in new and different directions, but there have just been points where it's just felt never ending. And I never thought I'd miss my feet sticking to a nightclub floor or, like straight women in the toilets telling me that I look amazing. I've got better legs than them. It's like I miss everything now. I'm just desperate to get back out.
Oh, I miss the condescending, like, middle-aged women.
Yeah.
It's something I never thought I would.
Yeah, just walking up and touching your face and your hair without asking and things like that. And yeah, hate that about drag, but I'd do anything to have it right now.
Oh, I so miss like the bathroom nights out. Like, I always make the best like temporary friends in the bathroom, like just all these compliments, we're gonna be best friends forever, never see them again, but it's like a fun moment to have.
Yeah, that and like the smoking area, like the best bits are never inside the club, it's always just like around the edge.
Well, I'm trying to quit smoking for like the third time. I've got my nicotine patch on today, but like I do really miss, well, for the 3 days that I've been smoking, but like what I would really miss about smoking is like going on nights out, because I love going outside and having a cigarette and chatting to people. I mean, I can still go outside, but I feel like if you don't have a cigarette, you just look a bit awkward standing there.
Yeah, and
Thanks
cold.
for calling me out. Right, so first question proper of the podcast. Tell us a bit about you and how you became interested in the wonderful world of drag.
Okay. Well, I was sort of always into watching drag, and this has been a really, really big thing for me, that it's an art form I've always really appreciated, but always sat on the outside of. Never even contemplated it, never crossed my mind that, that was something that I could maybe do. But always appreciated it, always loved it, always being quite free with my gender and things like that. But it was actually at the Viaduct where I first thought I really could have a shot at it. And I said to one of the queens outside that, yeah, I'd love to be able to do that. And she just looked me straight in the eyes and said, well, why don't you? And it never even, occurred to me that it was something I could do, because at that point, I was just a woman with a lot of makeup on. So that's sort of how I started taking it seriously and like getting into it that way. I tried sort of every other art form available on earth and realized that I would just shit at all of them. So I put creativity in a box and like wrapped it up and put it away and been like, that's not for me because I can't do anything right or well. And then I got going with drag and I realized that it's just, anything and everything is drag. There really are no rules, despite what RuPaul tries to shove down your throat. There's no rules. And that's like my favorite thing about drag, that I can do what I want, when I want. And if somebody tells me that's not drag, I say, well, it is though, because I'm a drag queen and I'm wearing it. So
I think it's so hard to find the right sort of creativity for you as an individual, like, because I'm an art graduate who cannot draw or paint. And like I always felt like, oh well, I mustn't be creative if I can't actually like draw a picture. But I think it's just finding like a creative path that suits you. Like I got into photography because I could never get an image in my head how it looked on paper, so that's why I sort of went into something else. But I think everyone is creative in a certain way. It's just finding the right way for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, when you're younger, you draw or you paint or you pick up an instrument, and that's like kind of what's available to you. Whereas obviously art, you know, I see art everywhere now. And I always had done, but I'd just not been able to find the bit that was right for me. And I always wanted to have my fingers in all the pies, you know, I didn't just want to do one thing. And drag has given me that, you know, it's fashion, it's makeup, it's, you know, making things out of cardboard, it's dancing, it's, you know, creating an entire world that your persona lives in. And I don't really think there's any other art form like it. So
No, it's like all different art forms, because there's a bit of screenwriting in there as well if you think about it, because you're making yourself a character.
absolutely, and photography, and now, you know, there's all the digital stuff, and it's everything. Drag is everything.
Yeah.
Speaking of, how would you describe your sort of drag aesthetic when you're performing?
Oh, I don't know really, to be honest. I take inspiration from everywhere and like everything. People that I meet in the street, you know, it's not just other drag queens and things like that. I'm kind of like a pop culture nerd. So I'll try and take things from, you know, other little subcultures, and be quite satirical with them. I like to say that generally I'm fun and I'm silly, and it's all about like colour and being bright and putting that through in my personality as well, and my performance style, not just what I look like aesthetically.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, because I followed you on Instagram for how long? I've known you for how long? And forever, I always see like you always got this like it's black, but you've always got this beautiful like splash of color on there, and it's just so nice to see.
Yeah, I think because, you know, I spent a lot of my teens wearing a lot of black, and because, you know, I was a goth, and then I spent a lot of my 20s wearing black because I was like carrying a lot of baby weight at that point. So now I have the chance to not wear a lot of black. I'm not going to wear a lot of black. And I think I held myself back a lot when I was younger. I think the big thing for me, like with me and my drag and what I do and what I put out, is I always say that be the person that 15-year-old you needed to see. And like, not to toot my own horn or anything, but Doncaster's never seen anything like the house. I think if we had the house when I was 15, I'd have known I was gender fluid at 16 instead of 26. And so I think, yeah, it's important to be as engaging as possible from all angles in all different ways.
Do you have any themes or anything in performances particular?
Well, I sort of have a theme for each thing. I don't want to box myself in too much for things like that. Generally, again, it's like I love to just like have a laugh and just do things that will make people go ha ha ha, like they didn't expect it. So like, you know, the feminist video that I did recently that was like very serious, there was no room for any silliness. Like, I absolutely love that piece. It's one of my favorite pieces I've ever made, but it was so difficult for me because I just wanted to, you know, laugh and like, you know, and it's just not a subject that you can do that with. But yeah, so like, you know, one video might have like a particular theme from a particular film or a particular year or a particular subculture. I like to try and be varied and different from like project to project. I like to keep people on the toes.
Yeah, definitely. Like going from like your Lockdown 3 video to the music video to the feminist video, there's like this massive like gulf in tone. It's so cool to see.
Yeah, I think I mean, because obviously like I'm Bipolar Abdul, I am bipolar, so I tend to find that like I can flick round between things so fast. I've always got like 12, 15 projects in writing, that I'd like to do. And because my mood can vary so much, they're all completely different. It depends like what other art I'm absorbing, you know, like have I been watching an onslaught of 90s films, or, you know, like all of a sudden last week I decided I wanted to make like a 90s style skating video, but with no skating in it because I can't skate. But, you know, just like the fisheye lens aesthetic and like people in big t-shirts drinking cans and that sort of thing. So it just depends what I've seen recently, what I've been thinking about recently. And I think sometimes as well, one of my favorite things is revisiting things that I was like super into as a teen or as a child, because I thought they were cool for a reason. And now we've got like nostalgia and everything's got retro vibes, like things really are cool. So like I got to dress up as Pee Wee Herman during lockdown, and that was just an absolute dream come true, to be honest.
Yeah. I think it's good not to subscribe to like one style or one aesthetic though, like especially like on social media throughout lockdown, everyone's sort of sticking to like one style, like cottagecore or goth, and I like want to be all of them. Like I can't decide, they're all amazing. I want to be like a witch, I want to be a cottagecore person who bakes, I want to be like a hardcore goth, a skater. I think we should just amalgamate all of them into one big like mishmash.
Or just do one, like, and then a different one, and then a different one every day of the week. Do that, because I think you know, it's important. This is expression. We're expressing who we are, and you aren't just one thing. Like nobody's just one thing. Everybody's like a multi-layered, you know, faceted piece of work, and I want to see all of them layers. So that's what I try to do. I try to be like accessible to loads of different people as well, and you know, like I might capture some audiences with one of my pieces that wouldn't necessarily like something else that I've done. But yeah, I agree. Like, let's just be a million different things.
Yeah, I think if I had...
life's too short to be in one place.
Yeah, exactly. I think if I could design a house exactly how I liked it, every room would be themed. Like I'd have like a 70s theme, I'd have like a gothy theme. Like when I was younger, I really wanted to paint my room black and hang bats from the ceiling. And I think that's a little bit extreme now, but maybe like a toned down version of that.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, in like the 70s room, you could have like a conversation pit. Because they were...
Yeah, I love that. I'm obsessed with the 70s at the moment, but like it's very in right now, so all the furniture for it's really expensive because I'm just about to move house and I'm like, right, I'm gonna design it all 70s. I'm gonna have like an egg chair and a hanging thing, and like everything's gonna be soft and orange. And then I realized, oh wait, I have no money.
Yeah. It's terrible when things are in fashion that you enjoy.
I know. I'm like, why can't it be really uncool at the moment so I can afford it? So speaking of like styles and aesthetics, are there any sort of particular styles that you're thinking of venturing into or that you're interested by?
Oh, this is a really interesting question, because I'm kind of in dire straits at the minute, if I'm honest, because like obviously we're about to like leave the house and go out into the world again, and I'm like stood thinking like, oh, I don't really know who Bipolar Abdul in the club is anymore, because like it's definitely not who I was last year with everything that's happened and everything that we've done, and you know, all the art that we've made. Like obviously you change, don't you? I'm like, I'm completely not that girl. And I kind of went through my drag playlist on Spotify. I'm like, no, I don't want to perform any of this stuff. No. So I'm kind of like, I wouldn't say in crisis yet, but I'm going through a thing where I'm like trying to figure out, you know, what styles am I going to go into after this? So I think I'm going to start trying to build some performances and like go from that. I think there's going to be far more like cardboard face pieces in my future, though. They've been a thing over lockdown, and I really enjoy that. So.
That sounds so cool. There was this really cool artist called Valley Export. Have you ever heard of her?
No, I don't think so.
She was like a 70s feminist performance artist, and she did this really cool thing where she wore like a cardboard box around her body, and she had like a little hole in it, like by her boobs, and she was completely naked underneath, and she just like stood on the side of the street and just like let people like kind of feel her up or like come like reach through the holes and everything. And yeah, she did loads of crazy performance stuff like that. But I was just thinking about the box thing, reminded me of that.
Amazing. Nobody would want to fill me up through a box, so yeah.
Immi, are you still with us?
I'm here.
Oh, good.
I'm not even going to cut any of this out for audio listeners. You can just enjoy the fact that my Wi-Fi is fucking terrible.
It's fine. It gives it more character. It's boring if it's really like well edited and clean
I'm not
spoken.
back. Fantastic. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. You'll come back. Are you back?
I'm back.
Okay. Right. Well,
This
seeing
is
as you're
fucking awful.
seeing as you're back, do you want to move on to the next question?
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the UK drag scene at the minute?
I'm excited about UK drag at the minute. But I mean, as a whole, like obviously there are some bits that are annoying or whatever, but I think I'm actually really enjoying UK Drag Race because everybody's British, so what's not to love? And I think when you see the queens that we have in the workroom versus the US queens, you can see just how like varied we are. And this is just like cis male drag as well. So, you know, imagine what else is going off in the local club scenes. But yeah, UK drag, I'm always a fan of UK drag. I mean, we try and go out like other places as much as we can. But I could tell you that like Doncaster drag's really, really good, best in the country.
I know, I follow all of Zay House.
I've never been before. What are the best places to perform there?
Well, we're actually getting our very own gay bar that's opening next month. Yeah, we didn't even have a gay bar.
Oh no!
But now we do. Yeah, we've been doing fluidity sort of in the back rooms of pubs and things like that for quite a long time. So to have our own like dedicated space, and it's in a perfect location, and the owners are lovely, and it's going to be fab. So that's called the Library, and it's opening on the 20th of May, I believe. So that's where we're going to be doing that, and like we're going to have, you know, bigger queens coming through, and there's actually going to be a scene. Oh, I can't believe it, I'm so excited.
I can't believe there wasn't one there before.
No, we've had a couple in the past, but there was just sort of no longevity in it, and it's because unlike places like Leeds or Manchester where the gay bars are nice and you like want to go there, it was kind of like, here's this place, it's falling to bits, but you've got your safe space, so, you know, be quiet and put up with it. It wasn't somewhere that you would choose if you had anywhere else to go. Whereas the Library's it's not gonna be like that. It's got a bit of luxury about it. There's no holes in the walls, there's heating, there's running water, there's, you know, all that. So it's gonna be great.
Oh, I wish we had somewhere like that here, because I'm based in Chester, which is lovely. It's very idyllic, but there's like going out wise, it is terrible. There's 2 clubs. One of them is full of 17-year-olds, and the other one is just like typical sticky floor, like really dodgy people in there, very gropey. And those are the only 2 choices you have. It's teenagers or gropey people.
There is one gay bar in Chester. I think it's called the Queen's Head. I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure if they were still open though. They were for a while, but I've never actually been before. But that's just because I don't generally go on a night out in Chester. I think we touched on this before, but have you had any difficulties performing during lockdown, having to do everything online?
So I've not done live, so I haven't actually performed live for a really long time. And I didn't want to do live because there's no feedback from anything. It's just your phone in a tripod. So the pre-recorded videos, they've been all right, but bloody hell, it's a lot of work for not a lot of, you know, it's like when you perform live, you put your performance together and you go out and you do it and then you get a drink. Whereas, you know, some videos that I've made, it's been like 5-6 filming days and then like an editing day, and then you put it in a digital show and you get tips apparently, you know, like, but obviously tipping culture here isn't massive. So that's been quite difficult. The lack of interaction, I think that makes you doubt yourself, because there isn't an instant, feedback from it. If you perform into a crowd and they like what you do, then they'll yes. But if I'm working for 2 weeks on a video, that's a lot of time for me to start doubting my own ideas.
Yeah, I think that reminds me of like football games at the moment. Like I have no interest in football whatsoever, but like when I've seen them on TV, like my stepdad's watching it or whatever, I'm always like, it just looks so sad because they're just running around and they have to put like fake audios in, and you're like, but I can see that there's no one there like cheering them on.
That's been with professional wrestling over the last few years, where they've been piping in fake crowd noise, and it's been really distracted.
But yeah, that's got to be the worst thing. Like, I miss my audiences. To be honest, I think sometimes filming's been quite depressing at points, because you're getting in, full drag, and sometimes it's like full looks, and you're setting up, like the amount of times I've moved, my sofa out to get to a particular wall, moving the dining table to get to a particular wall, setting up soft boxes, and then you film me 10 seconds of footage and it's done.
Yeah, I think it can be rewarding, but also if you spend hours on a video, like video editing is such a pain. Like I attempted to do a YouTube video about 2 weeks ago for Immi. We're meant to do one every week, but I've not been doing them because I tried to do one and it takes fucking forever. Like I had to research all the stuff I was talking about, and then I had to film it. And I put on this really weird voice when I think I'm going onto YouTube. Like I don't know why, but it just goes really high and squeaky because that's how I picture like YouTubers. And then I got halfway through editing it and I was like, no, fuck this. I'm not, like, I can't. So I haven't looked at it since, but it is a nightmare trying to video edit everything.
Yeah. It is.
Have you ventured onto TikTok at all?
Absolutely not. No, not. It's not for me. Like, I'm not slagging off people that do use it, because I see some things on there and I'm like, wow, that's really impressive. But I don't know. It just seems like, again, a lot of work, like for not a lot of payoff. And the app itself freaks me out, because I think it's definitely more invasive.
Oh my God.
With your privacy than any other app, like really, really invasive. So.
Yeah, you can tell. Like, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but I swear to God, I've talked about things before that I haven't searched, and they've like appeared to me on ads on TikTok, and I've been like, have you been listening to my conversations? Yeah, I think it's not for everyone. I mean, we are actually on TikTok, but I don't know how many things we've actually posted. But I remember, like, when I first started going on it, because like, I was bored during lockdown, and I did become like a basic white girl cliche and go onto TikTok. But I remember I made a couple, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna blow up. This is gonna be my big break. And the next day I wake up, I'm like, oh no, I'm still normal.
Yeah, I think it's so like youth-centered as well that I just feel ancient the second I open it.
Oh my God, I know. Like being on it has made me feel so old. Like this, like 18-year-old or whatever posted this thing about like people who were born in the late 1990s, and I was like how is 22 old? I don't feel like I'm that old, but now having been on social media, I feel like ancient. Like they're referencing things I don't even know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
I was called old woman on Twitter the other day.
Oh my God.
Because some children were using words that I didn't understand, and I was like, what are these words? And they were like, old woman. I was like, thank you for gendering me correctly, but ouch, I'm not old.
Oh, Immi, never ask. Just Google, never ask.
To be fair,
that's how old I am.
There's so many abbreviations. Like I remember the first time, like when social media first became a thing, maybe when I was like 13 or something, and there were all these abbreviations that people just knew, and I had to like Google them every time someone sent me something, because I was like, I don't want to sound really sad by not knowing what the fuck they mean, but like that message doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so I'm not big on TikTok. I know Naomi is, obviously, from Zara. She's like really big on TikTok, and she's really, really good at it, and they're really great. But she was also born in 1999, so we'll let her have it, I think.
So, is there anything that you think that classical art can take from drag, or that drag can take from classical art?
Oh my God, yes. Like most things, like, oh, with art, everything's so like interchangeable. Um, God, yeah, just everything. Classic art, like, give me an example.
Like classical art forms like painting and illustration.
Oh God, yeah. Um, I think, especially like with drag, like paint yourself with acrylic paint, like just do it. Um, there's so many things that you can just grab and just, chuck on your body, fling on yourself, and that's it. That's part of the look now, like big gold photo frames or whatever, you know what I mean? Or like make a sculpture and wear it on your head. Like drag is your chance to, like, when I started doing drag, it were like, all right, so now I just dress like an exaggerated woman at the weekends. But now it's right, how can we now start branching out and start using everything and stop being scared of them art forms that we said we were shit at? Because the only reason we thought we were shit at them is because we couldn't find a way to capitalize off them. So let's just start jumping into them now. Like, I've started making things for drag now out of all sorts of stuff. And it's allowed me to like just open my mind so much to what drag can be, and it can be anything. Like, let's not just limit this to like hats and clothes. It can be so much more than that.
What would you actually define drag performance as?
So yeah, I think it's down to each individual person to say what they, what their sort of rules are for what is a drag performance.
Yeah.
So I kind of go by the rules that, like, if somebody turns up to a drag night and they say that they're in drag, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
Because even in like my drag house, we're all completely different, and I think everybody has this thing where they feel in drag when they get to a certain point. And like for some people that isn't until they've got nails on, whereas like I would never wear nails. And I'll use my natural hair, and Ebony White will have a bald head out and things like that. Some people would say that that's probably, might not be drag to them. For me, it could solely be down to a performance, not necessarily like aesthetics or anything. I don't know. It's just so free and so loose and so fluid that I think it is. Yeah, if somebody says I'm a drag performer, I probably won't question it.
Yeah, I think that's very similar to all art, I guess. I mean, especially like conceptual art, like it could literally be anything. Like I'm very into my 70s feminist performance art, and there was this. I'll just do a shout out to Marina Abramovic. She's this amazing performance artist, and she did this work in the 1970s where she stood like naked in a gallery for 6 hours. And she was like the art piece, but she didn't do anything. She had all these objects laid out on a table. So there was like food, flowers, a knife, a gun. So there was like half really dark stuff and half like nice things. And she said that the audience could do anything to her for 6 hours. And like, yeah, it got really dark actually. It was like people like cut her, they like stripped her. I think someone held a gun to her head at one point.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then after 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours, she was just standing there. The performance ended and she like, snapped back into like not being, she sort of chosen to objectify herself. So she just let them do whatever. And then she's sort of like an endurance artist as well. But then when she snapped out of it and she started trying to chat to the audience, they all left because they were so ashamed. And I think, yeah, sorry, that got a bit like disturbing, but it's just in terms of like what is art or like what is drag, it is very hard to define because it isn't one specific thing. Like that in a way was just an idea. It was just a woman like standing in a gallery and that was the art piece.
Yeah. Wow, that's really interesting and horrific. Well, interesting.
Yeah, we're so sorry for scarring you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I am into all the really dark, like grotesque, abject artists.
No, that's really interesting. Yeah. Oh God, aren't people horrible?
I know. It does make you lose faith in humanity a bit when you read stuff like this, but like the artist is really nice, so that gives me hope.
Bless her.
So do you have any thoughts on the rise of drag's popularity as an art form?
Oh God, yeah, many. How long we got?
Yeah, as long as you want, go for it.
So I think it's got its good points, and I think it's got its horrendous points, to be honest. Good points being that, you know, people are just kind of more accepting that drag's a thing, and you can go out and you can see it in most towns and cities, and that's great. Bad points are that it's not drag that's risen in popularity, is it? It's RuPaul's Drag Race that's risen in popularity. And that's a point that I will continue to make forever, because that did a thing where it came on the scene and it did some good, and then it stayed too long, it went on forever, and now it's doing bad, it's doing harm. You know, I have struggled with being like in clubs and stuff and being in drag, and people saying that I can't do drag, you know, because I'm a woman or whatever, or people being like visibly disappointed when they clock that I've got tits. But I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see it. And this isn't other drag queens, by the way, I need to make that clear. This is like audiences. So I remember doing, you know, Mama Bear's drag battle. When I got to the lip sync, not the one just before COVID, the one before. And it was Express Yourself by Madonna, and I had a blazer on and I took it off and I had a mesh thing on, and I heard a big noise from the audience. They were, oh. And I just thought, so like there's things like that, like by people not experiencing enough local drag and just Drag Race, they're not seeing drag. They're seeing, you know, so many queens hand-chosen by a production team that just want one thing. Whereas local drag is everything. It's trans men, it's trans women, it's, you know, female drag artists, women drag artists, it's everything. It's all mixed in together, and you get to see all of it, but people are still sheltered because they only experience Drag Race. So I mean, we've come a long way since Lily Savage. That's great, you know, Lily Savage were a gem, but it's great that we've come further than that. But we're still sort of at a point where there are some really, really, really good AFAB drag artists out there that just aren't getting the recognition that they deserve, because, you know, we can't get anywhere near Drag Race. You know, if we wanted that opportunity, it's not something that we can experience. Yeah, I think when it does start happening as well, it'll just be like we need to start doing this now because people are getting really mad, so we'll let one woman on. And could you imagine being that woman, the first ever woman on Drag Race? Could you imagine bearing that cross?
That seems like a heavy cross to bear.
Yeah, absolutely. And
you'll have the cis gays who are like, oh, it's tokenism, and then you'll have AFAB queens which would be like, yes, finally representation, and there'll just be more arguments.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, it shouldn't be a thing that causes arguments. Everybody should just appreciate that, like, drag is such free art form that it doesn't matter what your gender is or anything. It's, you know, there's a whole sea of like gender identities out there, and they're all doing drag, so let's appreciate all of them.
It's so weird. You wouldn't have this in any other art form. You're a woman, therefore right? You can't paint.
Yeah. I think when things become, when like a topic or a aesthetic or something becomes mainstream, it almost like, there's nothing wrong with things being mainstream, but I think sometimes it does lose a bit of authenticity in terms of its audience, because I'm like, well, did you always actually like that, or do you just like it because everyone else is going along with it now, and now it's like okay?
Yeah, I think as well, like, you run the risk of the stereotype being the thing that everybody expects. So like, there's, you know, I saw it on Drag Race UK, what I would call like Drag Race US TM kind of thing, and I saw it on Ellie Diamond, the kind of like drag uniform, what I'd say, like people expect that, they expect a big blonde wig, costume that you've made that looks a bit like a dance costume. They want big heels, they want big lashes, contact lenses, nails, everything. And it's like that's what people expect. So then, like, when I pole up in a unitard and a giant like pill that I've made out of cardboard that I'm wearing around my face, people are like, "That's weird. That's not drag. That's weird."
I found that quite a lot when I was doing Mama's drag battle, and it was all clickety clickety clack, and then me covered in blood.
Yes.
I think it's good to shock people. It's good for people to be like shocked or surprised sometimes. Like, that's my favorite kind of art, like something you're not expecting to see, but it's just like, wow.
Yeah, I think as well with me, it's like the majority of the time I'm doing it for me anyway. So if you don't like it, it's fine. I'm not doing it for you.
Exactly.
It's I'm expressing myself how I see fit. If you enjoy it, wonderful. If you don't, then that's absolutely fine. But I'm not gonna fit into a little box that you think I need to be in order to be a valid drag queen.
I think that's why like kind of social media trolls are so sad, because they'll always do these little comments like, I don't like it. It's like, yeah, I literally don't give a fuck what you think, you like, bad little person. It's like, I didn't make this for you personally. It's like all these people come on thinking that their opinion is gonna like tear you down. It's like, I didn't make this for you. Like, you're just a pathetic little person on the internet who's made time out of their day to like boost this post.
I love it when people have taken the time to stop to comment to be like, well, I don't agree.
Yeah. I know, it's like nothing even of substance, no point, literally just like, I don't like it. It's like, well, why did you stop to comment then?
God, if only people were like so eager to comment when they did like things.
I know. Yeah, it's the curse of social media in the modern world, I guess, without sounding extremely pretentious.
Any engagement's engagement, though.
Yeah, exactly. If you're getting hate, you're going to be getting love as well. So like all the haters are technically lovers because they're just giving you attention.
Yeah. I love a white knight now and again.
But I do find it funny, like how angry people get literally about everything. Like if you go to the comment section of a video that's gone viral, and it could literally be someone like baking a banana cake, and you'll go to the comments, it'll be like, well, I'm fucking allergic to bananas. Like, this is really, like, I can't believe you'd post this. And like, then there's just this massive war going on in the comments. You're like, everyone, calm down, it's a banana cake.
I can tell you right now. I've got a YouTube video open in a different window.
Yes, let's do it.
It's about the Simpsons season 6. Here it goes. The Simpsons ended after season 5. You are wrong to even suggest that season 6 exists.
Oh no, the punchline kind of got drowned out in your robotic voice because your internet's gone again. Oh, I really want to know what happened now. Immi.
Internet's gone on it.
I think Immi's on dial-up.
But I'm here.
Oh, I was really excited to hear what the rest of that sentence was as well. Immi.
Oh, it's just somebody very annoyed about how The Simpsons hasn't been good since 1995.
Oh. To be fair, I don't think I've watched The Simpsons in... is The Simpsons still going?
Yeah, it's in 32 seasons.
Is it still good?
No.
Some of them are good. Most of them are average.
Oh, that's so sad. I do feel like
all of them.
Sometimes, like, less is more, you know? Sometimes I think you do just need to stop. Like, I always feel really sad when my favourite series stops, but sometimes I'm like, you know what? Good for you for not, like...
Yeah, that's the best thing. If something ends and you're like heartbroken that it's ended, then it was right for it to end. Because always leave them wanting more. Always leave them wanting more. But Americans tend to do that with like sitcoms and things, don't they? They'll pull it out, 24 episodes, 11 seasons, and yeah, we're like 6 episodes, 2 series, that's it. That's all you're having.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I was quite grateful for some sequels. Like, did you ever watch Life on Mars?
No, I didn't, but my mum did. I know she liked it.
It's, oh my god, it's mind-blowingly good. Did you like it, Immi?
Yes, and then they did Ashes to Ashes, and it was even better.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Like because one of my friends said that they would have preferred it if the end of the last season was like a bit of a cliffhanger, like just before the end. And he said he would have preferred it to have ended like that, because it did give a bit more explanation in the second season, but I thought it was really, really good. Like, that's one of the only sequels.
Is there a difference between you, the person, and Bipolar Abdul, the drag queen?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, there used to be a really big difference, but I think it's got smaller and smaller over time. Like as wardrobes have just integrated into each other and things like that. But Bipolar is slightly more confident than I am, a bit louder, a bit more willing to shout up about stuff. But that's kind of meshed backwards into me as a person as well. I think I'm more confident from being bipolar. And there have been points where I've like wanted to shout up about something and I felt like I could, and I don't think I would have been able to if I hadn't been like 2 or 3 years into drag at the time. She wears more makeup than I do, but really I think the difference is getting smaller and smaller. I think as I the person get more and more comfortable with who I am as me the person. So like I've been on like nearly a decade-long journey of self-discovery with my gender and things like that, and realizing why I felt different, why I felt weird, you know, and figuring all that out. So as I'm like settling into me, the difference is becoming smaller and smaller. I'm more comfortable being seen in drag, you know, without a wig on or without eyeliner on. That used to be a big thing that I didn't feel in drag until I had my eyeliner on, but that's not a thing anymore. So I think I've relaxed into bipolar and she's relaxed into me.
Have you heard of character integration syndrome?
No. Oh my god, that sounds like a disease that I might have.
So it was discovered in a British wrestler called Kendo Nagasaki, who basically got so into character that he never took his mask off, even when he was in the shower, and started believing that he was this Japanese samurai man because he was that in character, when in fact he was like from Rochdale and they'd never been to Japan.
Oh my god, that's so funny. Oh no, I'll have to let you know if I start getting in the shower in my tights and things like that.
I love like identity stuff though. Like I did a big project on identity for my university art project, and I literally have like a billion wigs in the cupboard, and I also have loads of random stuff. Like I have like mannequin heads and like fake baby bellies as well, like stored under my bed.
No, you don't.
I do. I literally have like 2 different sizes. I have them at like the different stages of pregnancy. But like
I start making like little bundles and sending them to each other, or just random stuff, and we have to make a look out of it. Like we have to do an art piece out of it.
Yeah,
that would be a great challenge.
Yeah.
But like, oh, I love all the identity stuff and like the idea of sort of alter egos as well. Like another, oh god, I've mentioned so many like 70s feminist performance artists, but there was this other one called
Is this one going to be mentally scarring?
No, it's not. Like it's really this isn't a disturbing one. So it was literally just this woman called Lynn Hirschman, and she decided to like just become this other person for an art project, but she properly committed to it. So her alter ego was called Roberta Brightmore, and she like dressed up as her, had a wig, but would just go about her daily life for like a year or whatever being this other person. So she like took credit cards out in that name, like rented apartment, went up to people, and loads of people knew her as like Roberta, and then after a year she was like, oh yeah, no, it was just an art project.
Oh my god, that's fab. I love that.
Yeah, same. But no, I love stuff like that. I think it's just quite fun just to like be someone else completely for a little bit as well.
Yeah, like I've always said that I think I always just wanted to turn looks, like even from being like really young, like I just wanted to, like I said earlier, just like reference something just like for a day. And I remember once I was going to like a battle of the bands in a pub in Donny, and I'd got dressed in this outfit and it was like really, really 60s inspired. And it was really cool. It had like this goth slant on it, and I was really proud of it. And when I got to the pub, all my friends laughed at me, right? And it's like stuck with me forever. This I was about 14 at the time, but it's really, really stuck with me. And I think like being able to do drag and just do that, you know, just wear that big outfit, has really, really helped me a lot, because God, I got so bored before drag, you know, just wearing stuff off the high street, going to work and coming home and putting my pajamas on and getting up and doing it again. I didn't have that outlet for that at all. And it's like, I think after a certain amount of time, it's just inside you and it's just screaming to get out. So yeah, like being able to just be ridiculous in any way that I want. Yeah, it's just great. Like really forming that bit of my identity that would just never be seen if it weren't for Bipolar Abdul.
I think it's interesting that you. This was related to something you said. I can't remember. I do go off on a lot of tangents, but I was just gonna say I always get really annoyed when guys especially will say like girls are catfishers for like wearing loads of makeup and stuff. And I'm like, but like obviously if you wear makeup, you do not want to look the same as if you weren't wearing makeup, because that is the whole point. It's like, especially people who wear like really eccentric makeup, you know, like I'm very into like the red nose and the bright cheeks and the yeah, like really like eccentric makeup, and people are like, yeah, but that's not your normal face. It's like, yes, that's the whole fucking point. It's not my normal face.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, for God's sake. And like men think that, oh yeah, we're trying to catfish you because you'll believe that we were born with blue eyelids.
Yeah.
Like just absolutely ridiculous.
I know. Well, it's like we were saying before. It's like it's not for anyone else. It's literally just for us because we enjoy looking like that.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And you're just jealous because society says you're not allowed and you've bought into that. Like I bet men would love it if they could smear makeup all over the faces all the time freely without judgment.
Do you think that the drag world is as inclusive as the media makes it out to be? Because in the media it looks like it's a very inclusive environment. Has that been your experience?
Yeah, I'm gonna go in with just a yeah on this one. If we're talking like drag community, drag artists, then definitely yeah. And the people that I've met and that like my stuff and I like their stuff, and there's like this whole thing that you can be appreciative of things that you wouldn't do yourself on other people. So like some of the like really, really femme drag queens, I'll look at them and I think, God, that is so beautiful, like perfection, like chef's kiss, gorgeous, but I'd never do that myself. Communities as in like, you know, the whole community, not just drag artists, then maybe, you know, there could be a bit of work there. But it is getting better. People are starting to realise that, you know, non-binary and, you know, trans and women are doing drag as well. So that's cool, but it could still, the community as a whole could be better. And the community at whole are misogynist, like the gay community are quite misogynist, I find at times.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really transphobic too.
Yeah. Yeah, which I just don't understand. I can't get my head around that at all.
Yeah. White cis gay men will call a drag queen she, but not a trans woman she, and it blows my mind.
Yeah, it's absolutely disgraceful. You know, that bit of the community is just vile. But like drag artists are generally beautiful souls. Generally, the drag artists that I've met are great.
Well, that's good to hear. I think sometimes people in certain communities, it's like they're not open to sort of new ideas and new people. Like that's why a lot of communities are sort of like, well, you're not like this enough to be part of our community and you're not that enough to be part of this community. But it's like, can't we just all like each other? Like we're all great people. Like just, I feel like we do need to be a lot more accepting, because I feel like some communities, even though maybe they have good intentions, they do become a bit more exclusive.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But but anyway, it's good to hear that on the whole the drag community is inclusive and diverse and friendly. So
yeah, and it's completely fucking scuppered. Our next question.
Oh yeah, well that's fine. We can move on to the next one. Do you want to ask the next one?
Yeah, go on then. Has your style evolved in any way in particular over your years?
Oh God, yeah. Like when I first started doing drag, it was quite just like feminine, just like accentuated, exaggerated woman. I didn't have a lot of money, so you know the wigs were bad, the clothes weren't great. I also wasn't as confident, so I wore like a lot more, and not really like as exciting, and probably not really very like looks. More, you know, it was just like going out clothes really. And there was always like a joke that Bipolar was a lot younger than I was, and maybe like we made a couple of like jailbait jokes, and then that evolved into the whole being the person that your younger self needs to be. I think what I'd done was, because it's a little known fact about me that I got pregnant quite young and I had a daughter quite young. So I kind of, when I started doing drag, I was like, right, both, let's just go back to that point of when, you know, I was like 17 and just pick up from there and use this as like a way to, you know, live vicariously through yourself through the last bit of your teenage years. And it sort of didn't last long, because once I got going with it, I just wanted to start just being like weirder and sillier and funnier and, you know, pushing it. Like also at the start, I used to hide that I were a woman if I could. So like you'd never, you know, like now, like everybody's seen my chest, they could all draw it from memory. But you know, back then it was I didn't want people to know at all. And then I just had this thing one day where I was like, no, actually, like if I'm going to do this thing that's a statement, then I need to actually make it a statement. I'm doing this to be who I really am, so why am I hiding myself? And that kind of like really kicked me up the arse then, and I really got going with it. But yeah, it's evolved, it's gone left, it's gone right, it's gone forwards, it's come back, you know, it's an ever evolving thing for me, style, from like 1 week to the next. There's always something that like I'm interested in, or I want to wear, or I want to do. But again, it's all completely different all the time.
What do you think's been your favorite sort of performance look or performance style?
Ooh, like on me?
On you, yeah.
Oh, well, favorite from like a personal angle has got to be the last Fluidity before the March lockdown last year. I did a piece and I dedicated it to my mum, and I dressed up like my mum. And I made a mix. I'd interviewed her in like under false pretenses, and I'd cut it into Sorry Not Sorry, and performed it because just before that, a month before that, my dad left, and they'd been together sort of 30 odd years. And my dad left her for like the cliche, left her for a younger woman, which is great. I live with my mum, she's my best friend, like we do everything together, and I just thought, what better way to take this shit that's happened, this horrible stuff, than to pull it in, you know, ring it round, knot it up, untie it and push it out in a performance. So that's what I did, and I got to like throw confetti over her. It was really cute. So that's like from a personal, like, you know, sentimental point, it's got to be that one. But I think from like an art perspective, it's got to be the video I've made in lockdown, Bender. I don't know if you've seen it, but yeah, I think I took a bit of a swerve in my mind when I made that, and I kicked my editing up and really just, because I tend to speak to Anna Pop a lot, you know, if I'm having like crazy creative ideas, because sometimes I'll think of something and then I'll say, no, that's too far. It's either too obscure or too weird, or whatever, people won't get it. So I'll ring out Anna Pop and say, right, I've had these ideas. I need you to tell me if I'm being insane. And she's sort of like, since she's joined Fluidity, everything kind of went whoosh for me, because I suddenly had this person that'd be like, no, do that. You absolutely need to dress up like a marmalade sandwich, do it. So yeah, I went through Bender with her, and I was like, I've had this idea and it's based on Hunter S. Thompson, and I want to do this. And she just went, yeah, mate, right, book it in, we'll get it filmed. So yeah, it's a great video, and I'm really proud of it. And it also pushed me forwards again. So yeah, got to be that one definitely. Although I'm wearing like
It's
big
one of my
card.
favourites.
Is it the big cardboard pill? Is so big. It's the biggest like face piece that I've worn, that I totally lost like all my center of gravity and depth perception. And every time I moved, I was like boinging my head off the wall, and oh god, it was like I couldn't hear anything. So people were speaking to me, and it was just the mouths moving.
I think this is why I have Immi working with me, because I need someone to regulate like my craziness. Like when I did art projects, I would never ask someone like, oh, do you think this is too crazy? Like I literally just did it, but that's probably why like it had age restrictions on some of the exhibitions.
Yes, the love and age restriction.
So, our last question, which I definitely didn't get asked to ask. Do you have anything in store for the future?
I do. It's quite vague though, to be honest. I've got like nothing set in stone. I'm just like things that I'd like to do. I'd like to collaborate more. I'd like to do different things that maybe aren't just solely drag based and nightclub based. I want to collaborate with you more, Immi. You know, I want. Yeah, there's all sorts of things that I'm just sort of interested in, like having a go at, and they might work out and they might not. But I'm like quite hopeful for it, and I feel quite confident that like I'll get somewhere. But I don't really know what it looks like at the moment. I'm kind of feeling a little bit like I'm in purgatory, like maybe I need to get out, engage it, see what the world's like, and then start putting some stuff in motion.
Well, I might actually have something for you and somebody else in the pipeline.
Oh.
How do you feel about pleading with the Grim Reaper to not be killed?
Yeah, totally. I'm up for that, yeah.
I love how there's like no hesitation, no question. It's like, yeah, sure, throw in the Grim Reaper, why not?
Yeah. I'll
Bring 'em
practice my
along.
best pleading faces, like.
Whenever I think of the Grim Reaper, I always think of Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
I think of Terry Pratchett's death.
The author?
You know, from Discworld. Yeah.
Oh,
Do you know how he wrote about the Grim Reaper from Discworld and the Hogfather when the Grim Reaper became Santa Claus?
No, I haven't seen that, but that sounds amazing.
Oh, it's phenomenal. It's so funny.
I feel
It's
like
played by Christopher Lee in it, and it's just beautiful.
the Grim Reaper is less creepy than the concept of Santa. I feel like Santa is a really creepy concept when you're older and you like unpick it. You're like, why the fuck is a fat guy climbing down my chimney and then like eating my food and like giving my children presents? I'm sorry to
Also,
corrupt Santa, but it's a weird concept.
the Grim Reaper only comes into your house once. Like Santa's
Yeah.
coming in every year.
Yeah, exactly. And like the Grim Reaper's just doing his job, you know? Like
Yeah, like
it's
9 to
what's
5,
Santa
Monday to
doing?
Friday.
I don't feel like he's doing his job. I feel like he's just doing it because like he enjoys doing it. I'm like, Santa, like you've got some problems.
And also, he's not even really doing any of the work. He's just getting all the credit for it. So, like, all these elves are making all these gifts, and then he's delivering them. It's like, could you imagine if somebody sent you a gift and you were like getting all excited about the DHL man on your doorstep instead of the person that sent you the thing?
Yeah. And
It's exactly the same.
like I wouldn't be surprised if Santa actually secretly had some what's the word? I've completely lost the word. I was gonna say it's like if he owned Primark and like all the terrible shit that goes into making their clothes. I'm like, is Santa involved in some dodgy shit? Because I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, some bad moral ethics.
Yeah.
That's the beauty. I'm going to spoil some dreams for kids. That's
Go
the
on.
beauty of that's the beauty of a fictional character. You can project any meaning onto them.
Well, that's why I find it really devastating when like you fall in love with a fictional character, you know, like if it's on TV or in a book and you just absolutely love a character and you're like, but they don't exist. Like even if it's a TV show, the person who plays them is nothing like the actual character and you're like, why?
Yeah. Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I've had a few like that. I totally relate.
Mine was Damon Salvatore from the Vampire Diaries. I'm literally so basic, and it devastated me, like, because I started like following and stalking Ian Somerhalder like online, watching all his interviews, and he's like quite boring in real life, and he was nothing like the character, and I was like, oh my god, this is so sad.
Oh, bless you.
In the next segment, our artist offers up somebody who's inspired their work as an artist and as a person in general. Bipolar Abdul, who are you putting into the Women's Workshop Hall of Fame?
So I've chosen Peaches because she's just non-conforming in every single way, and I find her to be like so cool and so brave and strong, and like fighting against an entire like society, like being in music and media and all things like that, and being able to be the kind of person that she is. I stumbled upon her live at Leeds Fest, first time I ever saw her, right? So this, like, get your ears around this for a first impression. I think I were 14 or 15 years old, and they rolled her out on stage completely starkers, strapped to like a silver hoop. And she was completely naked, bush, armpit hair, and she did a set from this hoop. And that was the first time I ever saw her, and I will never forget that, ever. It caught my attention immediately. It never left. I got so into her music after that, and like everything that she was offering up, every single one of her albums is different. You know, she's got that thing about her that I absolutely love, that's the same with my art, which is like, I want to try doing it this way this time, and I want to try doing it this way this time, and it's different. And just that wholeheartedly, like, genuine, not giving a fuck. That's something that I think you're either born with or you're not. And she's definitely born with it. It's so like effortless, genuine, fab.
Do you think you were born with it too?
Yeah.
I hope so. I like to think so. Sometimes I do catch myself giving a fuck, I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes I do. And I think that's kind of normal, to be honest, to do that. But yeah, I think maybe deep down, like, every year that passes and I get more confident, better at what I do, and yeah, I think I give less of a shit what people think.
Yeah, Peaches has written some fucking bangers too. Fuck the Pain Away is an absolute tune.
Yeah, I Feel Cream is one of my favourites. Woof. And The Boys Wanna Be Her, that's one of my numbers, that absolute banger.
Do you think she's inspired your work as a performance artist?
Absolutely. Like, I remember doing Donny Fried a couple of years ago and putting a tash on my face and thinking about Peaches the entire time while I was putting this tash on, and wondering if she'd think I were cool. She's definitely inspired me to see beauty in things like wearing facial hair, you know, or like I don't shave my armpits. I haven't done for like a long time, but especially while I was still working in youth work, there were times where I'd like catch myself, make sure I was wearing things where you couldn't see it and things like that. And then I thought, well, why am I doing that? So the fact that she's so free about who she is has definitely helped me to do the same. Yeah. Oh yeah, I love her.
I think it's great to have people who show you all of the things that society has told you that are like normal and things you should do, and then they're like, nah, fuck it, all of that's absolute bullshit, and you're like, oh, thank God someone else said it.
Yeah, and like a lot of the time it's got this real like satirical slant on it, like a proper like fuck you to the beauty industry. Like yeah, and that's I love that about her so much. Yeah, God, so far.
What's your favorite piece of her work? What's your favorite song?
Boys Wanna Be Her, I think.
Yeah, why is that?
It's such like a marching anthem. Like, it's so powerful. It really does say a lot of things that I want to say. It wraps it up perfectly. Like, I like to think that like me and a lot of people that are in the drag scene at the moment are flipping and bending gender so much that men and women are looking at us and are saying like, yeah, damn it, I want to be her.
So is there anyone else who has inspired your work at all?
I think that like that list would be endless, to be honest, because for me it's not just drag artists or music artists or whatever. It can be anyone. And I think it also depends on like what look I'm doing and things like that as to like who or what has inspired it. Just for instance, a couple of years ago, we did a shoot where we were like chavs in a park. And I based a lot of my look and like attitude on a girl that I'd taught a few years previous. But like a lot of, I can sort of give it to you like a lot of 90s stuff. A lot of like British comedy, a lot of satire, a lot of like powerful females, like Maxine Peake, Victoria Wood, Samantha Norton, like your northern actresses, Vicky McClure, people like that. It would be a massively endless list, I think, to be honest.
That's good though. It's good to have influences from here, there, and everywhere. Makes you more like, it gives you so many more ideas. I think if you just stick to like one genre, then it can like, you can fall into repeating the same things. I think it's good to just be inspired by everyone and everything.
Yeah, like at the minute it's like 80s music video cliches, like going like this.
Yeah.
Things like that kind of aesthetic.
Yeah.
So it honestly it depends. But like I guess I would have some like long-standing influences, and that would be like Victoria Wood, who I used to sit on living room carpet as a child and watch her, and thought she was so funny, because it's not very often that you get a female comedian that's managed to get so far without making period jokes.
Yeah. I think I love female comedians because I feel like it is sort of there is a stigma that like women aren't funny or women can't be funny, and it's like, no, actually men just tell a lot of jokes, but that doesn't mean they're good or funny. They just tell a lot of jokes and therefore they think they're a comedian.
Yeah, I agree. I think people are scared of female comedians as well, which I think is why they get forced into a box of making jokes like Tampax jokes or losing weight. All the jokes about losing weight, being fat, feeling chubby or whatever. But like I could probably walk out and tell some pretty good like political jokes that didn't reference my reproductive system at all.
Yeah.
But I think society is scared of that. Yeah. And I do feel like, unfortunately, we're nowhere near that not being a thing.
No.
I mean, look at like, as much as I dislike the woman, Theresa May, constantly getting asked by the press, like, who are you wearing? Who are you wearing? You know, getting snapped by Paps and they're talking about her outfit. And it's like, well, we're not doing that about the politicians that are in the 70s that look like they've been to bed in a suit and their hair's a mess, they've got dandruff on the shoulders. It's solely because she's a woman that she's being asked about. I thought, oh, she was spotted today in a beautiful pink ensemble. But, you know, we're not saying that about the three-piece grey suit that the male counterpart's wearing.
Yeah. I know. The world is a fucked up place and society is fucked up and we have a very, very long way to go. Like, it really annoys me how slow evolution is in terms of like human thought and human acceptance. Like, it's taken so long for us to get where we are now and we're still so far away from where we should be.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there are people still saying like, yeah, but you can vote, so what's the problem?
Oh, honestly, I mean, I don't want to get into a massive feminist rant, but it really angers me how people are like, yeah, but you've got this and you've got this. Like, we should have had that. And that's not something you've given to us. That is a right, something we should already have had. Like, you're not giving us anything. It isn't a privilege for us to have this. It's a right. There's a difference between a privilege and a right. And I feel like, especially when it comes to feminist issues, people are like, well, you've got enough, you know, you've not got enough problems. There isn't any sexism. You don't have any problems. I'm like, oh, it just, yeah, I'm not going to go into it all because I'm going to get very angry about it. But
I've noticed how it's always men that say this as well.
What was that, Immi?
Always men that say stuff like that.
Yes, it is. And this is what annoys me, not just about men, but anyone who says like there isn't any homophobia, there isn't any racism, there isn't any sexism, and it's like, it's always like white men who say it, and I'm like, but you haven't experienced any of those things, so how can you, like, I'm sorry, but how can you have an opinion on it if you haven't experienced any of it? Yeah,
they haven't experienced it, they can't see it, you know. They're all right, the mates are all right, therefore it don't exist. It doesn't exist. They're not scared to walk home at night, so it's fine.
So moving on to our big question of the evening, we asked you to choose a topic you were interested in. What is the topic you've chosen to discuss?
I can't remember.
Well, okay, I think I've got it written down. How does being a woman in the drag world affect you as a performer?
It was harder at the start than it is now. I care less about what people think, and if people want to walk out of my performance because I'm a woman, then I don't want them in my performance anyway. So that's kind of how I feel. It makes me feel absolutely the most punk, to be honest, because I'm doing a thing that has been billed as a man's thing for like a long time, and I'm kind of taking that and doing what I want with it. It can be annoying sometimes, you know, with internet trolls saying stuff. Again, it's the audience of drag more than the drag performer. I've met some amazing AFAB drag performers, which is again a culture that I didn't even realise existed. You know, like 10 years ago, I didn't even realise that existed. So it's like this crazy underground culture that's got all these subcultures from it, and I get to meet all these amazing performers and get to see the work that they're doing, and it feels really powerful to be part of that pocket of women in the world. It's had like its downsides at times. There were points like at the beginning where I didn't think I'd make it out of the bar I was working in, because they sort of took a chance on me, and like Donnie had never seen it before, and yeah, I thought, if you know, this is me, I'll start doing drag here, and this is where I'll do it, and that'll be it. But like, it wasn't, because I got stronger as I went on, because I met other women that were doing the same thing. It's like an alliance, like, you know, everybody gets this alliance going on with it, and we're all doing this like super hella punk rock thing. Yeah, I didn't actually think I'd get bookings outside of the pub that I were working at because I were a woman at the start.
But did you?
And now I feel like fairly unstoppable, to be honest. Yeah, it's also totally changed how I feel about myself in the role of woman outside of drag as well. So you know, I've managed to totally just work out who I am through doing drag. And like, I class myself as a non-binary woman, like, and basically for me, that's that I just don't sit in the two binaries. I sit between, around, closer to one, closer to the other, you know, whatever I'm feeling at that time.
Yeah.
And I don't think I'd ever have figured that out if it weren't for drag. Because there were points where before I started drag, I used to wear a lot of makeup all the time. I don't now, but I used to get up at 6 and put all my makeup on. I used to have acrylic nails. I used to wear like big push-up bras. I used to do all this stuff, and I used to see women in the street, and I used to think to myself, when am I going to feel like how she feels? you know, when you can see it on like just normal women walking down the street, they're totally happy with their femininities. Works perfectly for them. And I was doing all this stuff, and it felt like I was just sticking things on to try and like figure stuff out. And then like I started doing drag, and I just went down this path, and I started learning about myself, and I started learning about like who I was, and you know what my gender meant to me. And it's just been absolutely incredible. I think like it legitimately has saved me. Now, I don't want that to sound like dramatic or diva-ish or anything. I don't mean like if I hadn't found drag, I'd have run and jumped off a cliff. But it saved me from another like 7 years of like, who am I? What's this? I don't feel right. Why do I feel like this? Because I started to feel like it was literally my personality. I'm a weirdo because I can tell I don't feel like these people feel. But no, it was literally, I just needed to hear the word gender fluid, read the definition and go, right. So getting, you know, me being a woman, pushing through the limitations where people say women can't do drag, and being a woman in drag has led me all the way to that.
Yeah.
Which I think's like wicked.
Have you met many other women in the drag community?
Well, there's Anna Pop in my drag family. She's an AFAB performer. And then there is Boo Sutcliffe in Birmingham. I've met her. She's really nice. Basically, it's a lot of online stuff, you know, like, you know, following and then following you and things like that. And there's Creme Fatale, I think. I don't know where she lives, though. I don't think it's UK, but yeah. She's Canadian. But yeah, I think one of the funniest things that anybody ever said to me were, why do all AFAB drag queens look like clowns? And like I've legitimately got an answer for it, and it's because we're women doing drag, we put more makeup on so that you think we're doing our job properly, because we have to do everything times 10 because we're women anyway. So people expect, if you just put, like, if I put this amount of makeup on, some people might say it don't look draggy enough. Like, I'd wear that on a night out or whatever because I'm a woman. So we're kind of expected to amp it up, do more, be more, show more, be better, dance better, you know, lip sync better, do all that sort of thing better because you're not a cis gay man. But that's fine. We will do better.
And we do.
Yes.
Well, I think if it's okay with everyone else, we'll move on to our outro because we've talked about so many different topics. Do you have anything else to say, Immi, now that you're back with us?
Just yes.
Just yes. Okay. Well, I just want
everything that was said. I didn't necessarily hear it.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Bipolar. It was so lovely to speak with you, and we talked about so many interesting topics. So thank you for coming on. So where can our audience find you on socials?
Instagram, I am at bipolar.abdul.drag, and you can also follow my drag house at Fluidity Doncaster. Twitter is at Bipolar Abdul. I think that's it, really. I'm not on TikTok, guys.
Well, please go and support Bipolar, and also please come and support us if you don't already. You can find us at the women's_workshop on Instagram, and we are on Twitter, but I'm not. Do we do a lot of stuff on Twitter? Immi runs the Twitter account.
No, to be honest, I'm a little bit guilty of trying to push myself on Twitter, and I've forgotten about the other profile. I'm very sorry.
It's fine.
I've been on 399 followers for ages. I've been trying to get to 400. It's been pissing me off.
Well, you can find us on Instagram, and you can also find Immi on Instagram at immimidi. You can also find me personally at ellajasmine.samuel, I think. But anyway, if you do want to come on a podcast or you want to get in touch with us, please do send us a DM. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Again, no, like I can
My
sort of.
fucking video's frozen on it.
Oh no. Immi? Oh, fuck's sake. She'll come back in a minute.
Should I carry on or should we wait?
It's fine, just wait a minute. We'll have to cut this bit out.
Yeah, that's fine. You should get some little bits of lift music for these bits and just and yeah, it's a proper anthem for me.
You piece of shit. Oh, I'm back. I'm so embarrassed.
Oh my god, this is actually going to be the best thing to listen back to. I think this is my favourite one so far.
That's got to stay in.